Well, it's great to be with you guys today. Just feels awesome to be able to be in game week mode. Been through so much to get to this point. So just a lot of excitement from our players, from myself and our whole staff, just to be able to be in this position. So very thankful, very blessed. It's been quite the journey to get to this point. So going to be hosting the Penn State Nittany Lions here on Saturday, Memorial Stadium. So much respect for Coach Franklin and what he's built there at Penn State. Obviously, tremendous tradition, but just done a great job building that roster. Just so much depth and talent up front. Really impressed with their offensive line and defensive lines. That's really where it starts for all of us, as we all know. And they just have so much speed that they have on both sides of the football. And so just tremendously well coached. A new offensive coordinator that did a tremendous job at Minnesota and brings a ton of experience and just a high level of play calling and preparation. So we know that makes them really, really more challenging than ever probably. So, but just really have a ton of respect for the program that they run and how hard their kids compete and play. And so we know we're going to have to play our very best to be able to do the things we want to do against the top 10 team in the country. So really excited for the opportunity, though, for sure, and to be able to begin Big Ten play here at home and be able to have our players be able to exhibit all the hard work that they put into this first one. So excited to be able to name our captains this week. We voted as a football team, and it was pretty clear who the guys want in those positions. So it's just an honor to be selected by your teammates and your peers. And so Michael Penix and Harry Kreider are the two guys on offense that were selected as captains. And Marcelino Ball, Michael McFadden, and Cam Jones are the three on defense. Obviously, with Marcelino's situation, he won't be playing this season. So we'll be having surgery this week. So we'll probably not be able to be very active in that role on game day. But at the same time, his leadership is obvious by the way his teammates feel about him, even the way he's handled this tough situation with so much maturity and positive attitude, and just the way he's helped the guys at his position develop and coach those guys up. So just excited for that group to represent me. And I tell you one thing, though, we had so many guys give votes, more so than I can ever remember. I think it just speaks to the breadth of the leadership on this team and the guys that have been, not just good football players the last couple of years, but also young men that are respected by the teammates. So a lot of other guys could have easily been selected, and I challenge our whole team. They all need to understand that just because a guy isn't picked as a captain doesn't diminish his role on this team in a leadership capacity to help this team be what we want to be. I also wanted to announce that we're going to be having an equity fist that's going to be representing on our jerseys and our helmets as a patch to be able to do something for our university, for our athletic programs. And we got together as myself and our leadership council this past summer and with all the issues going on in our country with social justice, and just wanted to be able to do something to raise awareness. And so got together as a whole university and came together with this equity fist that's going to be representative on all sports teams, but we're going to be wearing it, like I said, on our upper right-hand chest of our jersey and on the back of our helmet. And also in pregame, we'll be doing, when our guys are out there doing their warm-up before we put our uniforms on, we'll be having it on both our shirt that we wear and the shorts that we wear. So players are excited about that. And just a sign of unity, a sign of togetherness and peace and love that we want to promote, and just respect for others that are different than us and look different, come from different backgrounds. And I challenge our team, I want us to be a beacon of what it looks like to love each other and care about one another, no matter where you're from and no matter whether you have differences or not. We got to be able to work together to make the world a better place, make Bloomington a better city, make the state of Indiana a better state, and just have that impact across this country. So I'm excited about that, and I know our players are as well. Excited about this week. Said it already, I'll say it again. But we got a lot of hard work ahead of us to get prepared to play an excellent football team. And so I'm looking forward to answering some questions and getting this week started.
All right, Zach, lead us off, and then John Blau.
Tom, sorry, as you talk about, you mentioned Marcelino there, and I think we've kind of asked Kane this as well, but just without giving away the farm, how do you kind of expect some things to counterbalance? I know you guys had talked about using Marcelino more in pass rush, and I know that was obviously a strength. It's obviously been a strength of his kind of throughout his career. Just how do you imagine sort of the redistribution of responsibilities? Do you almost ask Bryant to do a lot of the things Marcelino could, or do you maybe refashion that position to Bryant's strengths and maybe think about using other guys a little bit differently?
Yeah, I think, time will tell what that's going to look like, on the field, but just being transparent about the situation. I think Marcelino Ball is a unique talent, and there's a reason why he's been a very effective force here for several years, and the reason why it was a tough loss. But he has a unique skill set that not every player can have or does have, and so we're going to maximize the strengths of our team. In some ways, it's going to give a lot more guys opportunities. We're going to try our very, very best to be able to put those guys in position to maximize their strengths. And so I do see it being a situation where we'll have multiple individuals that will be used in various capacities to be able to equal kind of what Marcelino was able to do. Obviously, even on special teams, guys are going to have to step up and fulfill the role that he played in those teams as well. So, yeah, I think it's more be like a collective group effort of guys being able to be in position to do the things that he was able to do and just make this team better. So, yeah, that's been our approach, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, John, then Matt Weaver.
You guys have obviously started with a conference opponent before in Ohio State. How much more difficult would you say this actually is, though? I mean, just considering the strange offseason and also Penn State having a new offensive coordinator and not knowing exactly what their scheme will be like. I mean, what are the challenges starting off with a conference opponent right away like this?
Yeah, I think there's several things that go into it that make it more unique and more challenging. The most obvious one is just the delay of the schedule, and just the whole start to stop, everything we've been through leading up to this point, and the way that you had to prepare as a team, and you don't have any preseason games, and you try to use your scrimmages as those preseason games and get your team ready. So you just have a lot of those unanswered questions. The lack of hitting that I feel like is, we all are dealing with the same situation, especially all the Big Ten teams right now. But at the same time, I think that there are some advantages to having the time we've had. We've had an extensive amount of meetings, to get the mental side of it, great foundation laid there. And also we've had, as we were, basically segmented because of COVID and just following the rules of how many guys you could work with at a time, even during when we did the first fall camp, and then we had the break, and then we still had things we could do with our players there. So I think we've had some more individual, and even our younger guys have gotten more reps and more attention from coaches because of the way it all was broken down. So that's a positive, so, but then the rest of the things are very challenging. And so, and then like I said, you throw in the mix of, opening with the Big Ten team, there's no chance to kind of get, guys broken in a incremental standpoint. You're going right after, like I said, it feels a lot like 2017 when we opened against, Ohio State here at home, which was my first official game as a head coach in terms of a home game. I'd coached in the bowl game prior to that, but that was a challenging opportunity. And so it feels similar to that, playing a team of that caliber. And so bottom line is you have to, have all those typical first game questions answered, but the margin for error is much, much smaller, and then you throw in the other variable that you mentioned, which is a new offensive coordinator. And there's no question, you watch what he did at Minnesota, but it's never going to look the same. Personnel is different, and every year is a little different. So, but you don't really know for sure, but you got an idea, but you don't know for sure. So you're just trying to figure all that stuff out. There's going to have to be a lot of adjustments made after the first couple of series on both sides of the football, and probably even on special teams. So, but that's where, our coaching staff is going to have to be, really, really sharp with that area and be able to adapt to what they're showing us and what they're doing to us. And we got to have answers, So, but yeah, it's you take all those things combined, it creates a much more challenging situation. But like I said, everybody's kind of in similar situation other than the coordinator piece. And I guess you could say the same thing for us. We have a new coordinator as well, on offense. So I guess both teams are facing a similar situation.
All right, Matt and Tom Brew.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
It's rumors, but there's rumors out there that Journey Brown, the running back for Penn State, is not going to be suiting up this week. How much do you guys factor that into your game prep? Obviously, they got talented players behind him, but how much does that change their offense when you guys, look to defend him? And how much do you even talk about that when you're out there on the field and game prep?
Well, I'd say very little. I mean, he's a tremendously talented player, but they got a stable full of running backs that are extremely talented. So, any time, and that's the first I've heard of that, so, but we wouldn't dwell on that. Bottom line is that, they're a great football team, and their offensive line makes them go, and they got an excellent quarterback and very talented receiver corps, and maybe, arguably one of the best tight end in the country, so definitely one of the best for sure. So I ton of respect for their personnel and know that they've recruited at an extremely high level at that position. So if he's not there, they'll have somebody else that's extremely talented future NFL running back taking snaps.
All right, Tom, then Kevin.
Tom, since that first schedule came out in the summer, everybody's been sort of zeroed in on a big-time opponent right out of the gate anyway. So a little two-pronged question for you. How much has that helped in regards to everyone being ready for that mentally in regards to that? And then secondly, just how important is it as part of this turnaround that you've experienced so far to finally get over the hump against some of these top 10 teams?
Well, first of all, the first question, I do think it adds a sense of urgency, adds a heightened focus to your guys when they know they're playing a team of the caliber of Penn State to open the season in everything that you do. And obviously we didn't know this until, a month or so ago. But at the same time, it's been something that, once we knew we were going to conference-only schedule, for the longest time we thought we were opening against Wisconsin, So either way, we knew we were going to have one of the top teams in the country as an opener, and then it just shifted from Wisconsin focus to Penn State once they changed the schedule. So, but the bottom line is that that's the schedule that we're handed, and we don't ever really talk about that any other than we have goals as a program, and beating those top 25 teams is something that we haven't been able to do a lot in the past, and so that's one of our team's goals as we go through, and the team came up with these, and that's the objective that we have. And so obviously, playing a team like Penn State gives us that opportunity. And then when you talk about what's next for our program, it's winning these games, and obviously being close isn't, it's no longer acceptable or the goal or the objective whatsoever. It's to find a way to finish and win these games. And we've been in them, we've been close. We now have to finish them. So we've talked a lot about that, but it's really process driven. So it's really the outcome of it all. When we take care of the things the right way, and obviously there's a lot of variables that go into a game, and the bigger game it is, the heightened attention to detail in all three phases. And I think special teams is one that's has been a major factor in these games. And when you talk about beating teams of this caliber, so to me that's been a big focus and will continue to be. And so, but that's the next step for us as a program is to be able to find a way to win these types of games and elevate our program.
All right, Kevin, then Paul.
Hey, Coach, when you look back to last year's matchup, I think they had 192 yards rushing, a long drive, a lot of runs at the end of the game. The fourth quarter milked the clock. I'm curious about, and you allude to Penn State's offensive line, how you feel you guys physically match up. Are you guys better physically equipped this year compared to a year ago?
Well, the goal was to improve that area. And the bottom line is they have a very talented offensive line that's pretty much is wholesale back except for one guy, So and they had a lot of good number twos last year. So they're going to be, they are one of the best in the entire country at that position, and so we're aware of that. And so our guys have to meet that challenge head on, And we talk about all the time in our program that big men lead the way, both on offense and on defensive lines. And that's where the game is won. And you're right. They took the game over there in that fourth quarter and had that long drive and had several short yardage situations, just couldn't get off the field. And so that was a tough way to, we just say, hey, just need one more stop. And we're not able to do that, So, but hats off to them. They obviously executed at a high level, and they controlled the line of scrimmage on that final drive without question. So that's where, our guys have to, we have a lot of guys back from last year, add a few more pieces to it. So that experience and just the guys being a year older, year better, with better, fundamentals, better technique, better execution, more guys that can help us, more guys that can play at a high level, to me is the key. They're going to get a lot of snaps in the nature of games like this. And so we got to rise up. We got to stop the run game and do a tremendous job of controlling the pass game. So that to me is an objective every single week. But as you pointed out statistically from last year, extremely critical against Penn State.
All right, Paul, and then Sammy.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for your time. Follow up on that. Last year, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but you guys still had a chance to pick up that win. And also, how do you keep Michael grounded this week going into the game? It's his first time in his career facing Penn State.
Well, he's played some big games for us for sure. Not as many as he will before it's all said and done, but he has a natural poise to him that is extremely evident when you put him in these environments, and it never seems to be too big for him. But so I expect that he'll rise up and play at a high level on Saturday. That's my expectation for him. I know that's his expectation for himself, and but to me, it's just one of those situations where you mentioned that. There was several forgettable things from last year's game that went against us. Some self-inflicted, some that they inflicted upon us. But at the same time, still found a way to just keep clawing and scratching, to hang around, and then just needed one more shot there at the end. But we didn't finish, and that's the bottom line. So that's what this is about. And our kids believe in the process we put them through here, even though it's been very unusual and different than it has in the past because of the circumstances, but nonetheless, the core values, the core principles of this program have not changed, and we're not going to blink. We're going to fight you for 60 minutes. We're going to love each other. We're going to play with tremendous effort on defense. We're going to play with execution on offense, and we're going to play with just so much discipline on special teams. That's an area we have to really focus on to improve, and that's one that's been a major focus for us even this offseason. So bottom line is that I'm excited for Michael and this opportunity he's been given to play in this type of game.
All right, Sammy, then Jim Coyle.
Good morning, Coach. Last year, Wap got knocked out against Penn State. He's been kind of on social media and in some articles. How much of this is a revenge game for you guys in a game that you felt like you should have won last year?
Not a revenge game at all. Wap and I have never even spoken about last year's, situation. Just unfortunate, but this is about Indiana playing Penn State 2020. So obviously, he didn't get a chance to play much of that game. And for the reasons, that were stated, he did receive a hit that knocked him out of the game. And so obviously, he wants to play against Penn State, but Wap's a pretty high energy guy. So I expect him to bring his energy every single week, no matter who we play, but it just happened to be Penn State this week. But the bottom line is that we need him to play well, and we need our offense to play well, we need our defense to play well, and we need our special teams to play well. So that's what I expect us to do.
All right, Jim, then Peaks.
Hey, Coach, going into this game against Penn State, we talked about not having the games normally to warm up and having a new offensive coordinator actually on both sides. But for your side, how do you implement a game plan with a new offensive coordinator without having those games to go into this conference game, and how critical is that game plan?
Well, first of all, we tried throughout the course of all of our practices to have a lot of situations where Nick called the plays. We didn't script a lot. We had a whole allotment of things that we were working on those certain periods. But I wanted him, and he wanted the opportunity just to be able to do that as much as possible. We had our 2 preseason scrimmages as well as a mock game that we worked through situations with, and tried to do as many situations where I wouldn't tell him what was going to be happening in a certain set of circumstances, just kind of pop it on him during practice and be able to react to that. So just to try and create those preseason type game situations that you can for both the staff as well as your players. But at the end of the day, it's the first official game, so you really can never simulate it equally totally like it's going to be on game day. And so that's just part of, why it makes the first game such an exciting game, and so much nerves going into it, so much energy going into it, so much anticipation going into it, because honestly, nobody knows what's going to happen. And that's why you play the game. We always say that. And that's why I'm excited. I just feel like that our guys, I know they've worked hard. I know they're going to be very well prepared. I know they're hungry. I know they're excited. And so is Penn State. I mean, it's both teams' first game of the year, and it's been such a long wait for everybody to finally get a chance to play. So they're going to play really hard, and we're going to play really hard, and we're going to see who's the best football team on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Peegs, and then Dave Jones.
Hey, Coach. What were your main takeaways from the last scrimmage? And also, I was curious if any of the true freshmen have really pushed their way into significant playing time, first or second unit kind of level.
Yeah, I would say that encouraged by our progress in the scrimmages. I think that each week we kind of feel like we make a little more where it's supposed to look like and where you want to be. From a freshman perspective, Javon Swinton continues to impress and elevate, and he's a guy that I foresee getting a chance to play. And he's not going to be with the ones necessarily, but he's with the twos right now, and so he'll be in the mix for sure, and he's earned that. And without question, I think A.J. Barner's another guy that has earned the right to get a chance to play and has been impressive during the preseason camp period. And Bryson Bonds on defense is a guy that we've talked about, and we've mentioned all of those guys. And there'll be some others that I think will emerge more. But I think, Bryson's one that's really showed a lot of maturity, as we've said, and picked things up quickly and will be have a chance to play on Saturday for sure. I expect him to be out there and excited for him as well. So, but we'll have to see from there what else transpires. Sometimes things happen that you don't even plan for, and guys getting opportunities, and you never know how they're going to respond. So, but those are the guys that I foresee for Saturday.
All right, Dave, last one for Tom.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for doing this. Have you gotten a chance? It's been such a weird year with the Big Ten starting late. Have you gotten a chance to watch some other college football more than you would around the country?
The answer to that would be yes. You basically, we've been scrimmaging on Saturdays.
And if I could interject here,
Sure.
Since you have, as a former DC, have you seen, I don't want to put words in your mouth, I don't want to poison your opinion with what I say, but have you seen any difference in defenses that might be attributable to lack of contact, lack of tackling practice, anything like that?
Well, that's an interesting, question. There does appear to be a lot of high-scoring games. I think that's pretty obvious. Entertaining games, I guess. If you're a fan as a defensive coach, it's it's rough to watch sometimes. But and I think there's variables that affect that. I think we've talked as coaches, and some of the things. When you're in a pandemic period, you couldn't be out there doing a lot of defensive type things. And we weren't able to do 7-on-7s that our offense could throw to the receivers. So that's where it favors the offense. I'm sure others are in the same situation. You don't tackle during the pandemic, so we're apart over the summertime. We did zero amount of that. We had a lot more separation when you do things together, which affects probably communication defensively. So I think there's a lot of variables that have probably added to that. I think even just the physical preparation that you go through when you get into games, and one thing that has increased by my observation is the tempo. A lot more teams seeing tempo than even in the past, even when you look at certain conferences, and getting more snaps per game. Well, those snaps add up, and it affects the defense. And this is a prime example. So when you go like a 10 or 12 play drive, you keep your whole offensive line. They never rotate out. It's just different when you're pushing on somebody than if you're on the defensive line. After about 5 or 6 plays, you're going to rotate those guys out. If not, their tongues will be dragging at the end of that 10 or 12 play drive. So it wears on the body more when you're reacting to everything. You get pushed on, leaned on, and so it just takes more out of the defense, and you got to play more guys. So I think with you add all that together, it's created a lot of high scoring games where some defense have really looked fatigued and sometimes out of position, and probably just haven't gotten enough reps to get that stuff done. And then I just think the way that the game keeps evolving. I mean, the offenses are high paced, and and throwing the football all over the place. And the rules have kind of been set up to kind of favor some of that a little bit. And that's what, the fans want to see points. Nobody wants to see 7-6, right?
Does that bug you as a former DC, or do you just understand everyone's got a day?
I mean, it kind of bugs me because, I don't like seeing giving up a bunch of points, but at the same time, as a head coach, as long as we can score more points than we give up, everybody's happy. But at the same time, I do think that that's what the game has become. It's a lot more points being scored, and you got to kind of accept it in some ways because of the nature of how it's being organized and structured. But but deep to my core, I want to be able to, I love shutouts and giving up a touchdown, maybe 13 points. Used to be the magic number, but those days are long gone.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
All right, one more. Tom Brew, last one.
Coach, just a few minutes ago, it was confirmed that Jeff Brom's COVID test was indeed a positive, and he won't be able to coach this weekend. Do you have anything you can add to that in regards to how difficult that must be for him to have to miss this opener and miss the start of the season, and, of course, simply being sick as well?
Well, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. I mean, this is I've lost a close friend to this virus, so I praying for him that he'll be able to have a quick recovery and a full recovery and not have any long-term effects of this. And I know some people get it, and it's very light. It's maybe they don't even have symptoms and don't feel much different at all. But then there's also the extreme where many have lost their lives. So definitely hope for him to be healthy and not to be able to affect his family. But it's just the reality that we're all dealing with, and we're around a bunch of people all the time, and we test all the time, but we put ourselves in this position to be able to, try to stay healthy, and obviously it's definitely a great reminder that don't take anything for granted, and it's got to be challenging to prepare your team, but there's no doubt we've seen it happen other places where guys have had this and had to adapt and utilize technology and stay involved and be able to coach from that mode, and obviously they'll do a great job of stepping up and trying to, make the best out of that situation. So, but we're all, just one positive test away from being in that position. That's for sure.